for that.
I've never added anything to
Trump
Wikipedia.
is suing the IRS for $10 billion now.
Dude, anything that hurts the IRS, fuck them.
What are you talking about? Who do you think funds them?
I'm joking, moron. Obviously,
our IRS, not Germany's.
Our money. Yeah.
Dude, he keeps doing this thing where like he sues the Justice Department and then his Justice Department determines whether or not he gets money. And now he's suing the IRS for $10 fucking billion. He's just extracting America's cash and putting it in his own pocket.
That's how that same feel, which I also dislike nonsense like that. I don't know the story, but I take it at your word. Like, that's how I feel about illegal immigration and H-1Bs, is I feel like we're being strip mined by people who don't care. They don't see themselves as American. They don't care about our future, our prosperity, American kids. They don't care. They're just here because we're the land of opportunity, and they also get like very good, is it like SBA 8 or SBA 7 loans that are only available to migrants and immigrants that we aren't. And that's why every convenience store and whatnot is owned by immigrants now, is because they get interest-free up to like $5 million loans to purchase these businesses. The local business owner goes, hell yeah, I'll sell that. And they don't have to pay interest on it. And then when the time comes, they just chain migrate another person in, transfer it to him, and then restart the counter. Like, there's a tremendous amount of fraud that needs to be rooted out. And I think everyone is probably on board with, or most people are on board with rooting out fraud. I don't care where it is, whether it's Trump or illegals. Like,
I don't think Trump is going to root out any fraud that doesn't directly benefit him. I think he is a chief fraudster, and he loves seeing people commit fraud as long as it's not his enemies.
Trump didn't even get on the fucking Minnesota shit. It took like a 22-year-old kid just going to locations and calling and shit to expose the beginnings of, or not really him, because it's been a story for 20 years, but
no, it was that story. It was that thing.
2008. But that was what got it into the mainstream, right? But all this stuff was available, and people knew about it for years. And no Republican stepped in, no Democrats stepped in, no attorneys stepped in. People knew this fraud was occurring, and they didn't care.
I'm sure there's more fraud going on in Texas than there is in Minneapolis.
Dude, well, obviously, like Texas, California, New York, the giant states, of course, there's going to be more.
Well, not just the giant states, the states with all the illegals. There's 2.1 million illegals in Texas alone, at least. They say that's their number, and it's higher. It's higher. I bet there's 5 fucking million Texans that need to be gotten out, rooted out from their.
They're doing it. So there was a liberal talking point that was incorrect, and I heard it, and I was like, yeah. Let's fact check that, though. And what they were saying was like, why are they in Minnesota? Minnesota is not really ground zero for illegal immigrants. That would be, off the top of my head, like a Texas, a Florida, a California. Turns out Louisiana. I wouldn't have guessed that one, but that's actually number one. And I can actually do it. Louisiana, then Texas, then I forget. I think it's California, and Florida's fourth.
These are per capita numbers.
I think it's total illegals.
I'm not sure. These might be raw numbers. But in any case, Texas, number 2 in deportations. And I was like, oh, and it turns out there just isn't a big fuss there, that they're all on the same page. There's a fuss in places like California and Minnesota where they don't like ICE. But if you're thinking they're only doing blue states, no. Blue states are just the ones making the noise. The red states are cool with it.
Sure. Yeah. And basically, it seems to me like it comes down to like the states that are getting the wildest are the states where the leadership tells the local and state police not to assist the feds, like in Minnesota, or I think California. Maybe they've come around on it. Right.
Yeah, that's a problem. That I think when you say assist, it's just so broad. Like I don't know what.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's again way too broad.
Basically, like. But what I mean by work with is if Minneapolis PD were there the first time Preddy committed a bunch of crimes against the feds, he would have been arrested and put in jail by Minneapolis PD, not by ICE, because they don't have the authority to do that. ICE would have handed him over to Minneapolis PD, but because Minneapolis PD was told to stand down, they weren't there, and so they just released him.
I don't think California
nobody
was told to stand down. I remember them doing all the crowd control, stamping out every little uprising, being like, the National Guard doesn't need to be here. We more than have this under control.
Well, that was a riot. They were burning the city. See, the difference in Minneapolis is they're not destroying property. They're not burning anything that I
just linked you them destroying a lot of hotel property.
I saw like a scuffle maybe had happened, and one of those yellow we're mopping here signs had fallen over. I didn't see like the floor of a hotel destroyed.
It fell all the way over, Kyle?
It was, well, not all the way over, but
in order
like
for you to think, so for you to say it's destroyed because you mentioned the floor, some guy would have to go in and be like, and like prying up boards on the floor.
No, but I would expect like, I don't know, the place to have been burnt or singed or exploded in some way. I saw some broken glass and some spray paint, and that guy had somehow, he probably cut himself. You know, he had his hands were all bloody. He probably cut himself
by a projectile. That's how
he probably thought he was beating a protester and hit some glass or something like that.
That wasn't even nice. That was Bureau of Prisons.
Oh, the lowest rat on the rung. Oh, I'm glad you clarified that. The guys in the Bureau of Prisons were the worst of the worst. Fuck,
he deserved it, right?
Honestly, he did deserve it, Taylor. You know, like I'm gonna hop on Signal right now and congratulate the boys. I'm gonna send it by your house later on.
That would be
how it works.
The funniest possible thing. If Kyle was like, this isn't a crime because he's in the Signal chat. I was just moving the whole time.
No, I didn't see that it was destroyed. What I think they need to do is that the police should definitely be there during operations. Like when ICE when ICE tells them that we're going to this address. See, the problem is that they can't. That the real problem, and you're right about it. Because here's what would happen if ICE contacts the local PD and says, we're going to fucking 31 Chestnut Street and we're going to lock up this Rodriguez guy. I think that it's going to be on the Signal chat before ICE makes it to the doorstep.
Yeah, that's
and
why
then there's going to be protesters outside going, don't come out, Julio! And Julio's going to be like, fucking noted.
Maybe in this situation. But if you go out more broadly and just talk about police deporting people, the argument against it, the reason police don't normally enforce immigration is when you do that, suddenly immigrants don't have a police force. You know, like it could just be open season on raping anyone who's brown. And maybe they're on asylum status. Maybe they're on H-1B. But if they have to worry about getting deported, then they can't go to the police for help.
I think Taylor wants the police to keep the peace, as it were, like not get involved directly hands-on with deporting people, but be there to defend the ICE agents.
I follow that from the crowd. And why you'd want that in Minnesota because it's so hot right now. But the reason that police generally don't get involved in deportations is if you do that, then suddenly a whole bunch of humans don't have police anymore.
I agree with you. I'm not saying that the police should be involved in the deportation process, just like Kyle just said. The whole purpose of Minneapolis PD being available was so that after someone who was fucking with ICE agents, as Kyle says, like Alex Preddy, kicking their taillights out, spitting at him, agitating, ICE could detain him briefly, but then it would pass to Minneapolis PD and they wouldn't deport him, obviously, or anything like that. They would just lock him up and be like, all right, you committed a crime. ICE has handed you over to us. Here's the video evidence of you committing the crime. You got to go to jail. And so they wouldn't, I'm not saying local PD should be involved in the deportations at all. They just need to be there to handle the violent people who encounter the feds.
The issue is they have created a force of jackbooted thugs. And those people are killing citizens, beating up citizens, etc. And now the citizens are standing up against them because they don't like that. Kyle linked a video where the guy's like, you raise your voice, I erase your voice, right? This is the culture we have right now. And every time one of these guys murders somebody, the Trump administration runs cover for it because fraud, murder, anything is okay so long as it's one of Trump's guys doing the fraud, the murder, etc. And we need to change that culture. We don't need to abolish ICE. We need to hold them accountable for the bad things that they do. We need body cams on them so that in all of these cases, we're looking at it from 10 different angles and we have the full truth.
Masks off, body
masks
cams
off.
on.
Yeah,
You can't do masks off because leftists will go after their children and their wives.
leftists dislike ICE because they have a lot of reasons to dislike ICE. Like they're justifiably disliking
voters.
the. Stop! They're not voting.
No.
They're leftists dislike. You can laugh, but you don't have any evidence. You always don't have evidence, and then you say, "Well, that's because they don't allow me to collect the evidence." But I'm sure if I did, my dreams would come true. None of that is true. There's never any evidence of this widespread fraud.
You won the popular vote.
Yeah,
You won the popular vote.
but
Is that an argument?
Yes.
So because he won the popular vote, illegals in states that don't check ID are not voting? So Virginia made a law that you can't have immigration officers within 40 feet of a polling place serendipitously? Just randomly? Just so happened?
Can't give them water in lines in Atlanta. No, I just don't think that any elections have been stolen.